Here we are more than 10 years after StarCraft first came out, and it's looking like, at least for now, the long-awaited sequel might release towards the end of the year or perhaps early next year. Since it was announced at last year's Worldwide Invitational in Seoul, South Korea, we've had the chance to check out all three of the sequel's factions, the Human Terrans, Monstrous Zerg, and Mystical Protoss. Though it's been in development since the release of Warcraft III: The Frozen Throne in 2003, at every hands-on demonstration, Blizzard has said that practically all the elements of the game could change. Special skills, statistical values, build orders, and units can be swapped out or otherwise adjusted. So while we don't have all the details, we thought it'd be helpful for you, our faithful readers, if we put together a brief synopsis on what we know so far. Things do feel a little different in StarCraft II, a result of additions and removals of units for each faction and some new features. As was said when the game was first announced last year, some units now have the ability to hop between tiers of land on maps. For the Protoss, there are the Colossi units, gigantic walking robots capable of blasting out twin energy streams. With their long, segmented legs, they can traipse across tiers of land, adding a new dimension of tactics to the gameplay. The Terrans have Reapers, a new kind of infantry unit that can use jump jets to hop between land tiers. And the Zerg don't have a unit that you can point to and say, there's their equivalent. And that's just fine, because the asymmetry between the races is what made StarCraft such an impressive game to begin with. Those kinds of differences seem to be maintained for the sequel. And just so you don't get the wrong idea, the Reaper and Colossus are, in fact, vastly different units, with the Colossus being a heavy assault bot, and the Reaper being best for hit and runs. Across the three races, it seems the Zerg and Protoss have changed the most since the original. One of the changes for how the Protoss feel and play was unveiled when the game was first announced, and has to do with phase prisms, flying transport ships that can be deployed anywhere and generate a power field. They also get a powerful flying unit called a Mothership that has an impressive array of special abilities, including a devastating energy beam that blasts the ground below it. The Protoss still maintain their basic characteristics too, with every unit being protected by regenerative shields. The Zerg's base operations have shifted rather significantly with the addition of the Queen unit. Instead of having you set up air and ground defense structures, all these defense considerations revolve around her. She can be upgraded as well. As your central base structure evolves from hatchery to lair to hive, the Queen actually grows in size and gains the power to heal buildings, tunnel to different areas of the map covered by creep, which is the slimy substance that serves as a carpet for any Zerg encampment, and trigger base structures to attack intruders. The Zerg transport system has also been revamped. You can now load Nidus worms with units and move them around the battlefield, and they can be set up as a Nidus canal exit at targeted spots, which connects with the rest of your canal network. For the Terrans, those who played the StarCraft Brood War expansion may be dismayed at the lack of a medic unit. Troop healing is now controlled through the medevac dropships, which can also cart infantry around the battlefield. The flame-throwing Firebat infantry have also been removed. But other classic Terran units like the massive flying battlecruisers and siege tanks make a return, along with a few new ones. Most eye-catching is the massive Thor unit, a giant walking tank capable of doling out large degrees of punishment on your enemies. There's also a Viking, a transformer of sorts that can rapidly shift between an airborne fighter or walking assault mech. Our next opportunity to see the game will likely be at this summer's Worldwide Invitational event in Paris, France, and if the last few hands-on sessions with the game are any indication, more tweaks and changes will be present there as well. Many might be looking forward to how this game plays on Battle.net, but there are those, like myself, who are also interested in the single-player campaign, which actually proves to be the aspect of the game that has changed most since the original. No longer will the story scenes take place in a ready room from StarCraft, where little monitors displayed animated faces of important characters as they discussed events and eventually handed you a mission. We've only really seen the Terran campaign so far, and it stars grizzled hero Jim Raynor, who assumes command of his starship, the Hyperion. The way things work in StarCraft II is you'll actually get to control Raynor on a ship, moving from the bridge to the engineering decks through a kind of point-and-click interface similar to that of traditional adventure games. Raynor can talk to his crew through dialogue trees and advance through missions in a roughly non-linear fashion, selecting units and upgrades with money earned from success on the battlefield. Of course, that's far from all the information out there on Blizzard's highly anticipated sequel, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to expect if you haven't been following along. There's still a lot more to learn with regards to how the Protoss and Zerg campaigns will work, as we assume those races won't take up residence on Raynor's ship, so expect something a little different from each. As for the release date, well, this is Blizzard, and as they so often say, it'll be done when it's done. Hopefully we see it in its final form before the year is out.